Hi, Steve and Caleb from Brownells here, and today we're going to look at some new Trijicon reflex sights.
So what we have here are new optics from Trijicon, and one of them will look pretty familiar. This is the new RMR, it's the RMR HD, but this one, the RCR, is something that's
Way different.
Way different.
Way different.
So it's almost like they took the RMR, the Acro, and like a SRO and just kind of blended it all together.
And they ruggedized it.
They ruggedized it. The first R stands for ruggedized.
No kidding.
Yeah, ruggedized is the word here. So the difference between these two, there is quite a bit of difference. So the RCR actually has a little bit bigger window if you kind of look at both of them here. They both use RMR footprints, but the RCR does something way different with the mount. So they're actually using capstan screws, which I don't think, I haven't seen any optic use those yet. And the way you actually have to use them here is if you look on the side, they mount. Obviously you can't get on top of them, you have to come in from the side and tighten them down, which was kind of like mind-blowing at first that they would do something like this on an optic, but it works. The reason they did this is because they wanted to make an optic with a larger window but still use the RMR footprint. So it was either do this or go with a complete new footprint, and the last thing we need in the world is another red dot footprint.
So good move, Trijicon.
Yeah, definitely a good call there. You want to make something bigger, use the same footprint. This is really the best way to get around it. So that's why they did it. I know a lot of people out there are like, why the heck did they do that? That's why, and I think that's a good enough reason. So this one here, it has 10 brightness settings, 3 of which are night vision settings, as you would expect. Another cool thing about this, you can change the battery without removing the optic, which is great, and that's actually for both of these. The new RMR, something that hasn't been a feature on RMRs in the past, is that you can actually change the battery without removing the optic.
And that's a pretty big deal, at least to me.
It's a big deal. Honestly, not so much a big deal to me because the battery life on an RMR is like 5 or 6 years, something crazy like that. So for me, I'll probably move my optics around more than that, so I would have opportunity to change the battery anyway. But if you just want to set it and forget it, definitely a good move. You don't have to re-zero every time you deal with it. So
exactly.
So that's a good bonus there. Or if you have a battery that's just a dud, then
it happens.
Yeah, I mean it can happen. Even good brands, it happens. Not often, fortunately, but it does happen. And now you don't have to re-zero your optic because you bought the battery from whatever discount store. I don't know. I was going to say names of discount stores, and I was like, oh, Caleb, don't call them out. So yeah. You know who I'm talking about.
And they are waterproof to a certain extent, aren't they?
They are deeper than I want to go with it.
Right.
So I think it was like 66 feet or something like that.
Yeah, so these battery covers are like a little hatch, a little waterproof hatch.
Yeah, so if you're all geared and juiced up, just chilling in the hot tub with your plate carrier and battle belt on, these are good for that. You don't have to worry about your optics.
Just be safe in the hot tub.
Yeah, listen. We won't get into that. You know where we're going. Be safe in the hot tub. And I guess now we can kind of talk about settings.
Okay.
So settings on this one right here are way more simple. The new Trijicon HD has a ton of settings we'll get into in a minute. But this one here is pretty straightforward. So in order to turn it on, you just push either side. No big deal. You have a plus side, a minus side. That's for adjusting your brightness manually. And these are big buttons, so if you're concealed carrying it or whatever, and you're worried about hitting the buttons and unintentionally adjusting the brightness, you can actually lock them. So in order to lock them, alright, so if I were to hold just one side for 3 seconds, right, that's going to lock it. So right now I'm pushing negative, nothing's happened. I'm pushing plus, nothing's happened. Right, so now I don't have to worry about it automatically or it unintentionally adjusting. And if I hold both sides for 3 seconds here, the dot blinks once to let me know that the mode changed, and now I can adjust it manually again.
Yep, you're back in the manual mode. So if you're out at the range and it's extra bright, you can dial that brightness up on your dot.
Yep, and it should go without saying that, you know, if I put it like dim and then lock it, it's going to stay in that dim setting. It's going to lock into whichever setting you put it in.
Right.
So manually adjustable brightness, big buttons, but the big buttons aren't really an issue because you can lock it in whatever setting you want. And that's kind of the basics of that one there.
Yeah, it's real easy to master. Even I can handle it.
Yeah, 1 MOA click adjustments. Oh, it also, for when you're mounting it, because there are people out there that are going to absolutely try to destroy this thing whilst mounting.
Oh, yeah, the torque setting.
So it comes with an Allen wrench, and obviously you can't go in from the top. These aren't Allen head screws. It comes with 632 capstan screws, which most slides are milled for, not all. And then it comes with the Allen wrench here, and I'll just do a quick little demonstration.
You want to show them how it works?
Yeah,
You're
so
going to have to tilt it forward.
yeah, so typically, whenever you're mounting them, you can get one screw started, or actually, I'll just take it off and remount it.
Oh,
Steve.
really?
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull this one off here just so you guys can see. All right, so that side is done. Let me. All right, so I'm not gonna. All right,
Oh,
I
you
did.
did.
I did. I said I'm not gonna remove that side all the way, and I did. All right.
Yeah, they don't take as long to screw in out as you think they would.
So we have a mounting plate here just because this is
That's an M&P Performance Center slide. So
yeah, it's made for a bunch of different optics. If your slide is milled just for the RMR, you don't need a mounting plate. This will mount right to it.
Yeah.
And so what we do, the capstan screws, if I can get it out here, they literally just key into that slot like so. So there's a few ways to mount it, depending on if you're using a plate or not. So if you're not using a plate, you can just get one side started and then key the optic on and then tighten down the other side. If you are using a plate, really the only good way to do it is to put the screws, key them into the slots, just
and
like
then
so.
cover the holes with your fingers so
Yeah,
they
and
don't fall out.
Hold them like this so they don't go anywhere. And then put your plates on. Okay, and then from here, the screws will fall through the plate. Put the plate on the gun. And
It's
you
easier
can-
than it looks.
Yeah, it really is. I'm making this look way more difficult than it needs to.
You should
And-
probably take it to a gunsmith.
I should take it to a gunsmith, Steve. You forget like I don't remember. Alright, so we tighten these down here. And I'm not actually going to like put any torque on them. I'm just spinning them, getting them tight.
Okay, here comes the good part.
Here comes the good part. So they have this plate here. This is so that all of you guys out there who just tighten everything down till it breaks, this is to help you out so you don't actually break it. So you just slide this into the gap here. And
Takes 3 hands.
it takes, yeah, especially when you're showing people on the worldwide interwebs here. Let me use this.
Get everything breakable out of the way.
All right. So now I'm just going to insert it, and I'm going to tighten it down until the Allen wrench bends. I don't know how well you guys can see this here. And you want it to bend like, 3 or 4 dashes.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. So just snug it up like that. And I would say that's probably the equivalent of like, I don't know, roughly guessing 15 inch-pounds.
Right.
And then you do the same thing to the other side, which I'm just gonna do that by feel.
But use the
that's about
included
right.
wrench. It flexes the right amount.
Yeah, don't grab a punch off your bench and try and
Yeah.
use something hardened steel, because you're probably gonna over torque it.
And they'd be the devil to get out if you stripped a whole lot of that.
They did, and it also, if you're worried about it coming loose, it comes with included Loctite. So
Right.
just put a dab of this on there, and you don't have to worry about it. And you probably, even though this Loctite is removable, the battery compartments on top,
Right.
unless you want to mount it to a different gun, you don't ever have to remove it again.
But for a duty gun or something like that, that's great.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all you need to know about the RCR. This one in particular is a 3 1/4 MOA.
Now, it is a little more complicated than this one because it's got more settings.
So that one's actually the more complicated one
Oh,
with
wait,
all the
we
settings.
switched, didn't we?
Yeah, we switched guns here. So this one does not have an auto light sensor or anything like that. You set it manually. Just kind of set it and go from there. Now that one, Steve,
That's the one.
this is the one with a bunch of different settings and a bunch of different modes. I'm not going to get into all of it here because there's a bunch of them. It comes with a book. I call it a book. It's the instruction manual. It seems, if you're just kind of like browsing through the book, it can seem a little overwhelming at first. I promise it's not as bad as you think it is. There's a lot of settings. You're probably only ever going to use 1 or 2 of them.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, this is just for, it's an optic that fits everyone's needs.
Yep.
You don't need to use all the settings.
There's a lot of options, but just like with rifle scopes, you only need so much.
Yeah, so first off, you have the big buttons on the sides, right? So with that being said, you have the same settings as this one. You can set a manual brightness and lock it in. But if you look on the front here, there's that little dot right there. That's a light sensor. So it senses the light around you and adjusts the reticle automatically. But like I said, you can adjust it manually and lock it in, get out of that reticle setting mode. Or you can let it adjust the brightness naturally. But there's 3 settings for that as well.
Sure.
So you have a high, a normal, and a low. So if you want it to adjust automatically to the light, but you think it's not adjusting enough, you can set it to high, so it'll always be a little bit brighter.
Right.
Or you can set it to low, so it'll always be a little bit dimmer, even though it's fluctuating up and
Because
down.
that can depend on conditions or the eyewear you're using.
Yep. So this one here, this is a 3 1/4 MOA dot on this one as well. They also come in a 1 MOA, which is great for precision work. And also something we need to talk about with this one is that you can actually change the reticle. So you have just the dot,
Yep.
or you have an actual aiming reticle. I have it set on dot right now. I prefer just the dot. But if you look on the case here, you can also set it to that target reticle,
Right.
which is great if that's your thing. If it's not, you're like me. Yeah, that's no big deal, but it's there. It's an option. This is an optic with a lot of different options built
Sure.
in. So are these optics you're going to get if all you ever do is plink at the range? Probably not. But if you want an optic that is extremely durable, you're going to use it for duty use. You're going to use it for you want to stake your life on it,
Or just use it the rest of your life.
or use it the rest of your life. Yeah, this is the one to get.
These would be hard to tear up.
Yeah.
These really would.
As
Either one.
As far as deck height goes, the RMR is just as low as any other RMR. That is also the same deck height as an RMR. So all of your suppressor height sights, whatever you're used to using, they'll work just fine with this.
Right.
And I should mention also, here we have this one mounted on a Brownell slide. Now the Brownell slide have posts that come up for the screws, and then they use proprietary 440 screws,
Yeah.
which some
Yep,
slides
yep.
do. So if you have one of those slides, the RCR will not mount on it.
Right.
It's not an option.
Because you're locked into those capstan screws.
Yeah, you got to use the capstan screws. So you have to use like what I would consider a factory style
Yep.
RMR cut.
What most people are going with these days.
Yeah, this is more of a specialized RMR cut where the Brownell slide has to use certain screws. Some other slides out there do the same thing, so be careful with those as well. but you can't interchange those. So be mindful of that. The new RMR HD mounts to it just fine. Just not the RCR.
This one has the distinct advantage of having a flat window on the back.
Yeah.
So you do not have a receptacle for snow, sleet, mud, gravel.
That's one of the big obvious things we didn't cover. That's an enclosed emitter.
Right.
This is not. This is your standard RMR type emitter.
That one's got the cup on it, so if it's in the holster, you know, stuff can accumulate in there.
Yeah, if you're crawling through the mud or whatever, you know, stuff can get into where the emitter is and block your laser from projecting. This is an enclosed emitter, so all you got to do is just wipe it off and you're good to go.
You can hose these off; they're waterproof.
That's right, they are waterproof. You can just get in. Yeah, if you crawl through the mud, jump in a hot tub or bathtub or whatever, wherever you want to wear it.
Now, why don't we take them out and shoot them?
Let's take them out and shoot them.
All right, we'll be back.
All right, so we made it out to the range. We're here at the beautiful Brownells Big Springs Shooting Complex. And we're gonna go ahead and shoot these optics. Steve's got the RCR, I've got the RMR HD, and age before beauty, Steve.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, let's make it happen.
All right. Well, Steve, what do you think?
I don't normally shoot a red dot, but this was amazingly easy to pick up and use. I had no trouble seeing the dot while I was firing. Picked it up every time.
Yeah, and on this one, as I mentioned before, there's two different reticles. I use the actual circle, the actual reticle, not just the dot, because I wanted to do something different, something that I'm not used to, and I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. There is a faint blue tint to the lens coating, which is obviously they do that for a reason, but it doesn't wash out any of the colors. I'm still able to see the target well and everything else. So overall, an impressive optic.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the tint when I was shooting. Didn't even think about it.
Yep. So yeah, let's shoot a little bit more.
All right, sounds good.
So overall, really good optic, Steve.
Very good.
Only thing I kind of noticed with this one is that since the actual optic does come forward a little bit, you got to be careful with guns with ejection ports that are set back.
Sure.
But not a huge deal. Most full-size guns, you don't have to worry about that.
Right. I had no issues with this one at all.
Yeah. So
Ejection was perfectly clear.
yeah, great new optics from Trijicon.
Yeah, accurate, fast to acquire. I mean, what more do you want? Plus, they're rugged enough to where you don't have to worry about them going out on you.
Yeah, we didn't drop them, but we could have just did something crazy.
We want them to look nice.
Yeah, there's plenty of those videos out there already.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions or comments and you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to post them down below. If you're watching this on the website, feel free to give us a call on the tech line. We'll be happy to help you out. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.